everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Prismatic Dragonfly Tavern. We're technically offline tonight due to technical issues, but we're still here and we're still recording because we wanted to get another episode out and excited to pick up from last week. So not sure when we're going to be airing this, but hopefully it'll be very shortly in the future so you get to catch up with the stream and keep going along with the story. No announcements or anything special tonight, so I think we're just going to hop back in really quickly, though, come to think of it, Riva, what is the actual name of the second stream we now have?
Oh, I was like, what did we have to say to
The stream that was on yesterday. Shadows of Earthspur is our new stream, airing at what time?
Normally around 1.
Around 1 on Saturdays. So we have a new D&D 5e actual play, Shadows of Earthspur, that is airing on Saturdays around 1 p.m. start time. Every other Saturday. Okay. Every other Saturday, but it is DM'd by Dab Thulu, who you all are probably very familiar with, especially if you're part of our social medias or our Discord, which you should join. And come say hi to all of us. So if you want to catch another project that we're working on, try and catch Shadows of Earthspur. And we're still working on multiple other projects, including a Star Trek series and some other ones that we hope to bring to you here in the future soon in our new fancy studio that we're in. And we're still getting set up with, and there's still tech gremlins, hence no internet tonight. But more fun projects to come from Mythical Family. In the meantime, last episode on Prismatic Dragonfly Tavern, our heroes managed to solve one of the big issues that the Feywild has been facing for a while, which is a blight and a corruption that has spread across the lands for the past 10 years, started by an invader by the name of Atet, who nobody really knows where she came from. All they know is that she took out the Fey courts in a matter of weeks and has instituted an iron-fisted rule over the Feywild since then. And for 10 years, a blight, most likely caused by her and her followers, has slowly been consuming the Feywild. And our heroes were instrumental in stopping that blight. It seems like they cut it off at the source, and hopefully the Feywild lands will slowly return to normal over time. And while they were in the Feywild, some members of the resistance that has been fighting Atet's movement for some time were able to hold off a deadly inquisitor from Atet's forces while they took care of the blight. And our party ended up solving the issue with the blight, meeting back up with their friends, one of which is Vander's mother. And they found out that it was a pitched battle, and they did lose a few men and women, but they were able to hold off the Inquisitor and inflict a bit of damage, and he eventually disengaged. And it was at that point the party decided to end their astral projection spell and head back to reality, the world of Akora. And as they were slowly transitioning from the Feywild back into their bodies, they smelled smoke, there was fire, there was something happening in the house that they were in that should be a very peaceful estate that Vander's mother owns, which is a very profitable and famous tea farm. And moments later, they were whisked out the door, being carried either by Skalea or Fulmar, members of their party slash the farm. And seconds later, they were deposited at the bottom of the stairs to this giant house and were fighting Aaron, one of the Silver Knights of Arlia, who originally they had met some time ago in the city of Orshire, who was one of 6 Skalea's honor guard. And they last saw him in Orshire, but it seems like he somehow followed them in the weeks since, and they had to do battle with him and eventually strike him down because he was not going to relent no matter what they were doing. And we left off last week just at the end of that battle when they had struck Aaron down and revealed a giant purple sort of twisted mark, an arcane rune on his chest beneath his armor. And everybody hasn't even had a second to really talk after getting out of the Feywild because they were pitched into this battle immediately. So that is where we're going to pick up. So everybody is standing on the oak porch, the giant porch that is outside the main estate building on Aerith's farm. The wood is scarred from your brief battle there, but nothing horrible. There is still smoke pouring out of the inside of the house, though Fulmar ran in the second combat stopped, and you've heard other automatons in there as well, so they're probably fighting the fire. Maybe they have the fire out by now. There's still some white smoke coming out of the windows. All the windows are thrown open along with the doors, and you think you hear more windows opening right now. Aaron's body is on the ground before you with the chest plate ripped off, and the purple rune is there in the light. It's all of you and Skalea standing around the body, kind of in shock, as the rune was discovered, and that's where we'll start. So, what is everybody doing? What you doing?
Staring down at Aaron, kind of in disbelief, I would say. So we already previously discussed with everyone that
You previously discussed what?
about Aaron being like the mark on his chest. It has been there for many.
It doesn't look new.
No, the mark on Aaron's chest is very healed and looks like it's been there for a long time, and it's not like something burst out of him or it was like mutilating. It seems more like very purposeful and almost beautiful in a way, like a tattoo. Like it was done intentionally, and it doesn't look like it was something that Aaron fought. Like there's not scarring and stuff like that. It looks like very intentional, probably there for a very long time. The coloration and the symbol matches some of the stuff that you saw on the Feywild, connected to the blight / Atet as well, was kind of the last thing that we had talked about, yeah.
Look to Sid. How long did he serve you?
Roll a perception check. Actually, all three of you can roll perception checks.
Oh. There we go. That has worked.
9.
9?
19.
19? 1? Nat 1? God, starting the night, did you toggle karmic dice
Already
on
in
or
bingo
off?
mode.
Yeah. Do you have karmic dice toggled on or off for yourself, Ray?
I don't know.
You might want to check that. So, just because of the 1, you don't really notice it immediately. You said yours was 8?
9.
9? You don't notice it immediately either because of all the stuff going on. But Sana, you quickly notice the obvious that Sick is soaked in blood. Not her face, not her nose, but from like breast height down on one side, soaked in crimson blood for some reason. So you notice that. What was the question? Sorry.
How long had Aaron served her?
He's been in the Silver Knights since the beginning. I've known him almost my entire time in Arlia, so he's served me over 10 years.
Did he at any point seem different?
I mean, yeah, but not in the way of people growing apart over time. And he got married, and our priorities changed, and I mean, not in the way that I would ever question his loyalty to this extent, but he did become more hardened around the edges. And I mean,
This is good to know, but you're bleeding.
it's just blood loss, but I probably should take care of it at this point. And now, since it's pointed out, you notice that her side is soaked in blood.
Do you want some healing?
Considering I'm starting to lose the feelings in my fingertips, that'd be nice, yes.
I'm just gonna pump a bunch of whatever into her.
Of whatever.
Something.
Lay on hands. I will lay on hands. So much energy.
Oh, okay, how much?
Lay all the hands.
Okay.
25 points.
Okay. She sucks in a massive breath and starts breathing a bit easier because her breathing had been labored, and she just kind of lays a hand on that spot for now and continues and mumbles like a distracted thank you. You saw how he acted back at the keep with Kovita. That's pretty much what he turned into, was just a very suspiciously overprotective of me almost, and very mean to most people.
It's
Huh?
I was trying to. I don't remember seeing you get hurt too badly there.
He attacked me and Fulmar while we were inside singing and having breakfast near all of you. He came out of nowhere, most likely an invisibility spell or something, because he was there. He wasn't there one moment and he was there the next, and he shoved a longsword through my chest from behind.
Good gods.
The weird thing, though, I mean, all of that's weird, but the weird thing, though, is he stabbed me in an old injury, which is why I'm not currently freaking out about it besides the blood loss, and I'm more in shock. It hurt like a fucker, but I was stabbed in that exact spot many years ago in a pitched battle, and it took forever to heal from, and I lost a part of my lung because of it. But now I'm missing a rib in that area. Well, a rib. Yeah, ribs in that area. And it's kind of an empty void, I assume, except blood vessels. And he stabbed me perfectly through my shirt in that old wound.
That is very disturbing.
Was he the one that stabbed you originally?
No, 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 no. We were fighting a vampire, and it was a pitched battle outside the city. It was war. We were at war with Quandir during the time, actually, and it was a vampire that was allied with Quandir, and he got very pissed off at me. And I took a longsword in that exact spot, and it almost killed me. But Aaron stabbed me there like a surgeon almost. So as I was standing there in shock, screaming, and like looked down, it was a flashback almost to see a sword jutting out of my chest in the same. You can tell she's shaking a little. She's shaking a little bit. It was a shock to see that again. But that's probably the best place to stab me if you don't want me to die. Which just adds more questions. If he really wanted me dead, he could have gone for my heart. He could have gone for my head. He was attacking me in Fulmar. He was going after all of you as well. But he went for my wound.
Perhaps it was some sort of control that was compelling him.
It seemed like there was another presence inside of him, yes.
Maybe. I don't have any answers at all. He's the last person I expected to see here, and I did not expect to have a sword jammed through my guts today. And there's too many questions right now, and I don't really know where to start with all of this, but we were just enjoying a night's breakfast. I was telling Fulmar about the bullshit that I pulled with the Inquisitor, and all of a sudden we hear ruffling behind us like someone's moving through fabric, and then I have a sword through my chest. And then he went after Fulmar and knocked Fulmar down, and then went after Sani, I think it was, and Fulmar was able to stop Aaron before that, and we engaged in combat, mostly Fulmar, till I got my senses together enough for some magic, and he cast a fireball that started the fire, which is also not something Aaron knew how to do, but I think it was a wand.
What's it?
How deep does this go? Because, like, Aaron's
I mean,
work
through
with
my
you-
chest.
No, no, I got that. But, like,
Oh.
this whole situation with a Tet.
Well,
I
Because,
don't
like,
know.
Aaron's been with you for 10 years. The piece of the xiphoid was gone for 10 years. I knew nothing about that. I've seen the xiphoid. You would never know there had been a piece missing. And then, like, where the fuck did a Tet come from? And, like, who's the pink lady involved in this? We have an answer to that now, but, like,
we can wait for these for a little longer. We need to rest. You should spend some time with Sick. I'm going to see if I can understand anything about this mark. Maybe that will give us some answers.
I mean, apparently we just need to time travel to 10 years ago, because that number keeps coming up at this point. But
It does.
I don't know. As far as I knew, Aaron never had this mark, and yeah, how did things end in the Feywild? I assume good if you're here.
Pretty good, yeah.
You solved the blight?
yep.
Yes.
We think so. There was... Cass was speaking of a piece of the xiphoid. It was embedded in the heart.
Not the strangest thing that's happened today, but
It is up there, but
Up on
it is
the
not the
list.
top of the list.
But also, you know, the blight and how it had a smell to it.
yeah,
Yeah, we've smelled that before. It was
where?
If I pull out the sample and see if I
Yeah.
still have it,
You do. Yeah, it's still in there.
I give it to Cass.
thank you. In case you need to refresh your memory on the scent.
And she leans over and, yep, that's what I remember.
Yeah. So in the Glister Delight, that was part of the mass poisoning.
Yeah.
That was a part of it.
Around the
And in
world.
Windsor.
Yeah, and then in Vinzor, where all the adventure students were just like, Psh, we give up. We don't want to do anything.
I mean, that was a worldwide event, yes. But yeah, you said it smelled like that?
Yes.
I've never had it myself, so...
Well, it did. I don't know if that's what it's normally supposed to be, but at least when poisoned.
Okay, so the blight and it shared a smell, which makes no sense too.
Yes.
Lovely. Is your mom all right? How did I assume, given your state, and everyone's not covered in their own tears, that they did survive that fight?
Yes, they lost a few, but they kind of came out on top. They were able to fight.
Good, I'm glad.
Yeah.
It was really fun. I had a great day up until now, including what happened in the Feywild, because I got to not care about my life for a little bit and play distractions, and it was quite enjoyable. So I'm glad that it worked in their favor, but definitely a lot of questions that need to be answered right now, and I just didn't expect to be staring at Aaron's corpse today.
I'm sure this is
None of us were expecting this.
yeah. I'm sure this is rough to see.
It's rough. I've known the man for over 10 years. I know his wife. I was their best woman at their wedding and have been a massive part of their life. But I'm also kind of numb right now at the same time because I think this was a choice that he actively made, possibly.
We will come to understand this, I hope.
Yes. But, well, Fulmar and I had a delicious breakfast, and we're hoping that you might be showing up at some point. It seems like there is a bit of time dilation between the Feywild and this plane. I came out of the Feywild about a day and a half ago, for reference.
Wow.
So, there's a bit of
How
a...
long were we gone?
Huh?
How long did Fomar think we were gone?
It's been about a week.
Wow.
That is a little longer, yes.
Yeah. You all were making a lot of noise at different points through it. We readjusted your bodies once or twice to actually be laying down on blankets and pillows because it seemed like it was taking a toll on your bodies. So we were trying to take care of you as best we could, and hoped that if you had shown up today, you'd have food with us if there's any left. So hopefully there's some food in there, but it sounds like everybody could use some rest, though I do think we should probably do a closer inspection of Aaron's body and see if there's anything else of note.
I am planning to, yes.
As long as it's not me. I'd prefer somebody else do that right now.
I can take care of this. Do you know if with any particular faith you subscribe to, any rites we should be performing?
No. Aaron was despite coming face to face with a demigod on a weekly basis, he doesn't really care about the divine. So I will inform his wife. I have to tell her. I'll inform his wife, and they'll probably send for the body, so we'll just keep it stored until someone comes to pick it up.
I can make sure that the balance is further.
I was going to say, if you have gentle repose or you know a spell of that kind, that would be appreciated in this case. I figured something similar. I'm going to go lay down.
Me too.
What about Cass?
Cass is going to take a gentle walk to get some of the blood flowing.
Yeah, you do. Now that you're out of combat, you do all notice just how horrifically sore your bodies are. Like, it's not to the point that you weren't able to function in combat. You didn't even take like a negative in combat for it or anything, but you just feel all the joints are stiff, and yeah, you haven't been in your body for a while, and it's obvious the muscles haven't been used. So even flexing your hands and your fingers and stuff. Even flexing your fingers and stuff, everything's sore from lack of use. So a walk would be a good idea.
And we all had scrolls of messaging, right?
There were scrolls of sending that were handed out. Vander has one left. Sonny has like a bunch, like 7 left.
I came in with like 5 of my own and only used one of those.
Yeah, so Sonny has some. I don't remember if you got any or not, but I mean, you have tons of parties, so.
It's not even borrow this one.
That's something that's fine here.
Oh, make it. those characters we were going to talk about
Okay.
at the 8-bit plan.
Okay.
Like my old teacher,
Okay.
whoever that was.
Okay. You have 25 words.
Can you sort that out for a second?
You can, think about. Go ahead and even write it down if you want. If you think about it for a minute.
Yeah.
What's Sonny gonna do?
Probably get some assistance moving Aaron somewhere a little bit like easier to work with, a bit more out of the way, like not on steps.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Fulmar is probably going to come out around this time, and Fulmar is going to be a bit of a mess, mostly suit covered, not blood covered or anything. And they'll let you all know that the house is mostly fine at this point, just some burn damage and some smoke damage. And they'll help you move the body. And there's a like an extra dining room off to the side, and they'll clear the table in there and kind of set it up as like an operating theater almost. So Fulmar and the automatons will help you with that.
Okay. And Sonic, obviously, just like thank Vander and then she'll go ahead and just focus on trying to understand what the hell was going on here, and like slowly going through, like, okay, what was he carrying on this person? Were there any marks besides this one on his, chest, etc., etc.?
Okay.
Work our way through trying to understand what's happening.
And seeing like any items that he has on him and stuff like that.
Yeah, anything that might explain like some of what was going on. Like, okay, we think he might have had a fireball long. Does he?
Yeah. Okay. So you'll follow. Volmar will take you over there with the automatons, start setting that up so you can do a full investigation of the body. Are you casting something akin to Gentle Repose or Gentle
I
Repose?
can do ceremonial funeral right.
Which does the same, like,
It's the 7-day can't be raised as undead, etc.
okay, prevents decomposure and stuff like that. Okay, cool. When you walk, so Cass is going on a walk. When you walk through the house with Fulmar and when you walk in with Sick, which is the same time pretty much, you do see signs of a battle. You do see a lot of charred flooring near the kitchen and a bunch of food that was on the table that's blown out all over the place. The area that was originally rune scratched out for your astral projection, the runes are still there, kind of smudged at this point, but there is an absolute pile of blankets and pillows, and it almost got turned into like a blanket fort area that Sick probably set up with Fulmar while you guys were gone. And you can tell that it's very lived in, so Sick and Fulmar probably were just sleeping right next to you guys to keep an eye on you. There would be anything else out of note? I don't think so. As you're walking in, Fulmar will peel you off to the dining room, and then Sick is just going to walk over to the pile of blankets that were probably near you and sit down on that. Because there's bedrooms and stuff, but she's kind of tired and in shock, so she's going to walk over to some of the blankets where you were probably sitting and just lay down.
He's not gonna let her.
Okay, what is he going to do?
He's gonna sit on these next to her and say, sit up.
Sure, and she sits up, and you notice that when you originally saw her and during the fight, she was wearing armor, but the armor's slowly dissolving off her right now. Roll an Arcana check.
Sure.
Hopefully better than your one.
And I almost was a 1.
A 2?
It was a 7, so it kind of looked like a 1. Yeah, 7.
7 total. You know that there's some kind of a spell work going on, but you've never seen this happen with her or anybody else before. But as she like sits up, her armor just melts off and dissolves into like sparkles almost kind of thing. She wasn't actually wearing armor, and you see her in like her very normal like plain clothes underneath with just the blouse and the pants and like just one of her normal like everyday like relaxation outfits. And the top she's in is soaked with blood, and you can see the cut, but the wound's healed now because of Cass. But she sits up and looks at you like she's in shock, like her eyes are glassing kind of thing. So she just sits up and looks at you confused.
Yeah. He's gonna rummage through his pouch. It's gonna be humongous when he pulls out a shirt. And he starts like altering it, tying it in certain spots.
Oh dear God.
Just eyeing it. Doesn't look great, but he dances to her.
That's like it's when the girl steals the boyfriend's shirt, but the shirt's like it's like a tent.
Or a hammock.
A hammock, yes.
Yeah. He gives her one of his shirts.
Oh, like puts it on?
He offers her a cigarette.
Oh, okay.
Hers is covered in blood.
Yes. Yeah, she pauses and like looks at it and like looks at the knots and the ways that you've altered it, and like you'd expect a laugh almost, like a normal, like if she was in a normal state of mind, but she just kind of looks at it, nods, pulls her shirt off and throws it. She has a bra on.
Okay.
She pulls it off, and her bra has some like it's a dark black bra, but you see wetness underneath, which is probably blood, but you can't see it. But she just takes the shirt off, throws the other one on, and then just sits there.
He is covering his eyes the entire time.
Did he go like?
Yeah.
Oh, adorable. But yeah, no, just whoop 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 whoop. She puts it on, and then she like just like lays back down. Okay. Is he gonna try and rest, or?
He's gonna do some stretches first, and then he's gonna rest.
Okay, yeah, I figured that he probably wanted to. Yeah, she just kind of curls up into a ball, and quickly falls asleep. So.
That's all day.
And then Sonny, roll an investigation check and a medicine check for me.
The investigation is a 19.
Okay.
Medicine, it's probably not going to go so well. 5.
Medicine 5? And the other one was what?
19.
19. Okay. So, Fulmar throws a gray tarp over the backup kitchen table and helps you get the body on there, and opens some of the extra blinds to give you some light. And you have as much time as you need to kind of look over Aaron and Aaron's belongings. And you have the necklace, which is an amulet of invisibility, and it seems like it's multi-use a day invisibility, so it probably 2 or 3 charges a day if you're attuned to it. You don't know for sure. You find a wand on him that seems like it was a single charge wand because it is all charred at this point. You find a small pouch on his hip that has some trail rations and basic necessities, about 500 pieces of gold in there. It would be gold. But other than that, he seems like he was in perfect health, and the only strange thing you find about his body is that rune in the middle of his chest.
Cool. Now it does have a waiver next priority, so it's like, can I understand anything about this rune other than it looks similar to things I saw in the Feywild?
Roll an Arcana?
That's a nat 20.
Nice. Roll a Religion as well.
15.
So, you are still not positive on the intricacies of this rune, but one thing stands out. The position of it on the body, with the center of it located over the being's heart, and the nature of some of the elements of it tickle a bit of your brain when it comes to like warlock pacts. So you have a feeling that it was very consensual, and this was something that Aaron agreed to from another power that probably exerts some sort of control over him. So definitely warlock-like. Doesn't have to be warlock, but warlock-like. You also notice a bit of fresh, burned flesh around it that happened in the fight, but it's the border of the rune. So there was so much power being dumped through the rune, it caused Aaron's skin to be burned, which is probably not normal and could be an indicator of just how much magic had to be used in that fight for whatever reason, or the being that was controlling or pushing magic through it. So just kind of like another piece of the puzzle that you notice.
Interesting. I think Sonic kind of puzzles us out, and then kind of for the brief moment kind of looks down at her arm, and then looks back at the room. Okay. Alright, Sonic.
Anything else you want to specifically look for?
Once she's got like a little bit of understanding of like what they were dealing with here, and like, okay, some of the weirdness is accounted for, like the wand, for example. I'll go ahead and start preparing for the ceremony to just give him rights.
Okay. Cass, as you're taking your walk, what have you decided on your 25 words?
I have.
What are your 25 words?
It's Cassiana. Did you know a xiphoid piece missing for 10 years. Found in Feywild. Should be back now. Seems part of conspiracy. Convenient.
Okay. You have to continue on your walk for a good minute or two after sending that message before a response comes your way. You know the message sent. The response window on sending is very indeterminate. You don't have to answer immediately with it, though, so you just walk for a little while and continue to stretch your muscles and take in the sights of most of the automatons and individuals working on the farm still working, probably unaware of what just transpired in the main house. And then you get a response from a gruff sort of male voice that you recognize as your mentor. Surprised to hear from you. Glad that you are safe. Need some time for research. We'll be in touch. So after you hear that echo in your head and you've been on your walk for a while, what are you going to head to do next?
Alright. Helping the fields just a smidge for a little bit.
Okay.
Process everything that's happened.
Yeah.
And then go get some rest.
Okay. Yep. The workers in the fields are more than happy to have an extra set of hands during the harvest, and through you probably talking to them and other people coming from the house, word begins to quickly spread through the estate of what happened, and it's the talk of everyone with the gossip very quickly. But eventually you can break away and go back to the house and either fall asleep in the living room, or Fulmar will be walking around trying to find where everybody is, keeping an eye on everybody. Fulmar will direct you to one of the many empty bedrooms and have you take your pick of them if you'd like to sleep. You do see Sick and Vander fast asleep on the floor where the ritual took place by the time you get into the house. And Sonny is still off in the side room that you can probably see from the main door. So, but you can go find a bed. You all showed up at pretty much breakfast time on this day, so you can sleep as much as you need, so you can take the benefits of a long rest, so everybody can have a long rest, which I think you were at already because of Feywild, but still, you'll be at a fresh, long rest, hit points restored, all that good stuff.
Recovery from exhaustion.
Say what?
Recovery from exhaustion.
Yes. Forgot you did have that. You had level 1 exhaustion, didn't you? Yep. Very good.
I sleep like a whole 7 hours.
Yes, a whole 7 hours for an elf. Ooh. Yeah, Sick is going to stay asleep for a full 8 hours probably at this point. Sonny, are you turning in after your investigation, or are you staying up for the day?
I mean, she'll rest, but she doesn't really sleep anymore.
Well, yeah.
So that's mostly just find some place to curl up by herself and study the book.
Okay. So the hours pass throughout the day, and then later into the evening, somewhere around the hour of 8 or 9 o'clock, Fulmar has prepared a rather large and hearty dinner for everybody, and you all awake to the sound of multiple automatons working in the kitchen with Fulmar, and some of the people coming in from the fields to get food, and Fulmar makes the rounds of waking everybody up to see if they're hungry, and you can go into the kitchen and grab some of the hearty stews and breads and meats and vegetables that Fulmar has prepared, and get a bit of food in you now that you're back in the physical plane. What are you guys doing for the evening? You're doing what? Eating all the food? Okay.
Almost all.
Okay. There's a ton. Fulmar made a ton. So Fulmar made a feast fitting for everybody in the fields and all of you. So the mood in the house is pretty quiet. The field hands are all happily whispering among themselves and gossiping about everything, especially once they see the destruction that had been wrought on the inside of the house. Fulmar makes sure to keep the area with Aaron's body closed so nobody can wander in there or anything like that. But there's still lots of sideway glances and people were just wondering what went on. But most people that you don't know get their food and then go outside to eat on the patio or go somewhere else to eat their food. And it's pretty much just you guys and Fulmar and Sick that stick around on the inside. So yeah, that too. Yeah, that's some of the stuff they're saying, I'm sure.
It's turn.
Yep. They make them different in Quandir. So Sick will probably wake up when the rest of you do, and she's just gonna stand up, walk over, queue up for food, grab a plate of a couple of vegetables and some soup, and then just sit down and kind of eat and seem like she's thinking to herself a lot. Unless somebody talks to her specifically, she seems somewhat zoned out even after getting some rest. Fulmar's there though, and you guys are all there, so it's your evening.
I think we need to talk about our next steps because we just got a lot of information. I think there's something once we did.
I was thinking of sending Aaron or Aaron.
Era.
Is it Aaron?
The pink lady is Era. Aaron is the guy that just died. Yes.
Obviously, E-R-I-N.
Ah.
Not A-R.
No.
Or A.
The guy that's dead is E-R-I-N. And
Oh, is he?
yes.
Oh.
Aaron is E-R-I-N. And Era is E-R-A.
Okay, Aaron.
Yeah, Era.
Not A-A-R.
No.
Oh my gosh. Yes. I was thinking of sending Aaron.
That's a good idea.
Let's make chocolates. And then
The second.
It's just you guys in the kitchen with Fulmar and Six, so most people have come and gone for getting extra food and stuff like that. So it's just the quiet evening with the sounds of wildlife outside and a little bit of a breeze going through the window. So you're pretty private. So
what had been our plan was to go to the university to get news on Matilda, and then we were going to go to that village.
The other way around, yes.
Yes. But those were the top two things we were going to do, and it kind of got from that. But we now know that, A, we found Matilda, and she seems okay.
Let's move past that one.
Okay.
Examines Aaron's body. We didn't see any other markings of the one that's on its chest. It reminds me of something. And she holds up her own arm. Yep, the tattoos that they're shifting around on her. It's not too much of a, my goals are not directly involved in this thing, but it is very much the same thing. It's a pact, I swear. He entered into an arrangement with something. So he agreed to it. He must have. These cannot be given without permission. They must be asked.
So it's like a warlock with its head.
Maybe, or whatever it is that is giving it her power. That it's, I cannot say for sure which is the source or not, but it is very much what makes me believe in.
The only thing for Matilda that I would currently talk about is, though we know what we do know regarding her now after the Feywild, do you still want to go to the college for more information regarding her, or do you think I'm going to go still? That's what I want to make sure. Yeah. So, we want to head to that village? Or...
I guess the question is, since we could arrange a meeting with Era, do we feel the village is still something we're invested in?
Maybe we should see. You have any feeling about this now?
With Era, I think she might be our best hope with figuring out what's going on.
I feel like this might be a better idea than chasing shadows out in some dead village, you know? Maybe. I'm not sure where she is or how we can meet her, you know? You want to give it a try and see what she has to say, or what we need to do to after this meeting, maybe we can get things happening there.
Okay. I'll start figuring out what I want to send you later. You're gonna like pull out a notebook. Start working on it.
And for transparency, I did reach out to my old teacher in the paper plant back at the top.
No, that's about
They're gonna investigate some stuff and get back to me. About like I let them know. I asked, if they knew a piece of the xiphoid had been missing, that it would be back now. We think it might be some part of some larger conspiracy. And asked to meet, and they said they would get back to me.
very awesome.
That's what they give us.
I hope so. So it's great to think that people I know and love have covered this up and are actually also part of this whole thing.
It's all very strange, and I don't like my feelings about this feels. It's like you're looking through glass with this like oil of grease on it, so everything on the other side is really strange and wrong. Everything about this magic makes me feel this way.
It's Savannah got super helpful vision related to all of this. Do you by chance have anything pertinent and relevant to your dreams?
I haven't done it for a while, so I'm not saying.
Okay.
Nothing's been sent to me. I tried to reach out to the democracy, and I just, So, we reach out, we see what Sarah has to say. Depending on that answer, maybe we go find her, or if that is not going to be something we can do right away, we continue on from the village back to that. Does that sound like where everyone's?
Yeah, I consider.
All right. Evander's going to be sending that sending tonight, then it sounds like?
Yes.
He is.
And then after it's pretty obvious the conversation was done, so it's like, we need to get a walk. Maybe that's it.
Sonny's going to take a walk.
Yeah, just gonna go outside and walk around and get some air since most of her rest was either cleaning up after the ritual or trying to read her book or anything that would be helpful.
Okay. What about you, Cass? Are you doing anything after dinner?
Gonna check on sick.
Well, she's sitting at the table with all of you? Because she's been sitting there the whole time, so.
Just like slide up to her. Just see how she's feeling.
I mean, through the entire conversation that you guys have had at dinner, she just quietly ate her food, and it's like she's a different person almost, because she's using, like, very specific noble table manners. Like, she's eating her food in a very dainty way with silverware. And she just looks like she's disassociating, staring at her plate for most of it. She looks up now and then when you guys say a specific word, but she doesn't interject or say anything. So if you scoot over next to her, she's just going to keep, like, poking at her soup kind of thing, and she doesn't even notice if you, like, scooted over.
I'm gonna pull out my tree drop.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you ever seen one of these?
She blinks a couple times to, like, adjust and looks over and squints. When I was a kid, it's a children's toy from Treetop, isn't it?
Yeah. But like, is it really just a kid's toy?
I suppose not. I suppose it's a toy for anyone. You kept yours?
Yeah.
I didn't bring a lot of my stuff when I moved, so I don't have. I didn't bring it, but I know a lot of people from Treetop that have those. They're quite a novelty in some places, especially some of the cities that aren't as stocked with magic shops.
My best friend found it. It's like in the forest in one of our little adventures.
Oh, it's a sentimental value.
Very simple.
Well, that's a good thing to keep and remember her by, I'm sure, then.
I want to go outside and see how far we can throw it.
I have a feeling in my state I probably couldn't throw it that far, but I appreciate the offer nonetheless. I'm just still thinking about Aaron and everything else that has transpired. And I don't know exactly what my next move is going to be in my life now either. So I think I might just need more sleep. But I appreciate it nonetheless. No, she hugs you back. And she's still wearing the oversized knotted shirt kind of thing. That has a small blood stain, probably was transferred from her underclothes, but she's fine. But she hugs you back and seems appreciative of the touch.
Oh, just. Guess I'm patting the foot in there.
Okay. Vander, are you sending that sending?
Yes.
What is your sending?
Go ahead and reach out to her. Say, hello, Era. It's Vanguard. Wish to contact you as promised. Maybe meet. Want to learn about you. Maybe become friends. Wanting to help you.
Perfect. Okay. Well, you know what Era looks like, and you've had a conversation with her, which allows you to send sending to her. Spell goes off. Feels just like every other time you've successfully sent sending. Same kind of thing happens to you that happened to Cass in the fields, where you wait a good minute or two, but eventually, slowly almost, you hear her cough and start talking in your head, and her voice still has that tinge of annoyance that it did last time you talked to her, but it's obviously Era responding to you, and she goes, well, you did make it out of the Feywild, it seems. Tet isn't happy with you. I suppose we could meet. What would she say for location? Sorry, I need to think for a second. What would she say for that? She would say, if you want to talk, draw this rune. And you get a very vivid image of a rune in your mind. So she finished, that's her message, and the message ends with just kind of this weird feeling in your head, and kind of overlaid over reality, you see a very faint, wispy rune. It doesn't look like any one on Aaron's chest or anything like that. It looks like a much more mundane rune. But the way that it's transmitted to your brain, it seems like drawing it into the ground is what she was implying. So
like, glue it on paper.
Based on the way that you saw it, like in dirt, you think that you would like draw it almost like you'd etch a pentagram into dirt with like a stick or something like that. This is a more complicated and in a different shape, but you assume that you would etch this into the ground somewhere. You think from your understanding.
Can I go ahead and draw it on a piece of paper?
Yeah, you've seen it. It's burned into your brain. You can
burn it.
Yeah, it's burned into your brain. You're not going to forget it or anything. So you can draw it on a piece of paper. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah. You go ahead and draw it on a piece of paper.
Okay, yeah, and you can just quickly jot it down. There's a couple like very small runes around it in some language that you don't immediately recognize. You think it's just like an arcane language. And if you saw this in a wizard shop, you wouldn't even bat an eye at it. Nothing looks sinister about it that you could tell, with your understanding.
It's a lot of Sorry.
It's on his outside thing the walk, so we'll not find her.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right now it's you sick and Fulmar, and the two of them left.
Okay. He's gonna waddle over to those two first.
Okay.
See if they recognize me.
So you show it to Fulmar and Sick? Yeah. Sick just kind of glances at the paper, and she's sitting there with her arms wrapped around herself after everybody leaves at the dinner table, and she just looks at it, kind of squints and looks back and forth and goes, I don't recognize it, and then Fulmar leans over. Where did you find this?
More specifically, I said the ascending to one of the people that we properly got introduced to in the Feywild.
Uh-huh.
And we as a group wants to meet with them. And they said to draw this into the ground.
Probably not the way that you should get most of your magical runes, I would say, at least in my experience. It looks like it's some form of distant projection, though. It's not my area of expertise. You might want to ask a mage if you had a mage around here. As far as I can tell, though, it looks like a modified version of a sending spell combined with perhaps elements from an image spell. So I would say distant projection, perhaps.
Okay.
But beyond that, I don't know. Sonny might be able to tell you more, maybe. But
Thank you.
yeah. Are you gonna draw it in my house?
I don't think that would be a good idea.
Somewhere outside after everything else had happened, it would be appreciated.
Of course.
Thank you. Took forever to get the blood out of the kitchen table.
You're gonna go find something.
Okay. And you can walk outside, and eventually Sonny will come back to the house, so you can catch her on the porch a little while later. She's walking up.
You know what it is?
Sorry. What's this? Where did you get this?
I talked to Era, and she said if we want to meet, she could draw this in the ground. And Fulmar said that the distant projection style maybe.
Oh, let's see.
Arcana check. I just hear the Baldur's Gate dice roll the
That'll be a 14.
14. You come to a very similar opinion to Fulmar. You've heard of spells like this that are the advanced version of sending that have been developed over the last 100 years, where you can establish a sort of major image that you can talk through. You think that's what it is? There's nothing sinister about it that strikes your eye, but it's also hard to ascertain without knowing more about the underlying arcane properties of it. So,
It's like a something, but it's almost like this an illusion to create yourself at the destination as well.
Okay.
So like kind of a projection. I'm pretty sure she would be able to see us and we would see her through this.
Okay. Cool. That's good.
Are you wanting to do this now?
We can do it whenever.
When did you talk to her?
Huh?
When did you talk to her?
Oh, just a little bit ago.
Maybe sooner as well.
so Cass is still sitting on another part of the porch, so easy enough to go find her.
As hard as I can.
Yes.
There.
You call her.
We're gonna go talk to Era. You want to come?
Absolutely.
Cool. Fulmar said to not do it inside.
If we're going outside, we saw some places out in the fair. We can just take a short walk back.
Okay.
Okay, where are you guys going then?
I imagine that while Sonny would wander around the property, she'd probably found something that's like more of a relaxing area, like not strictly work, but like some kind of like a park clearing kind of area where people would like gather when they're not actively working in fields.
Very much. This has been in the Ralahana family for many generations before Aerith became the owner of it, so it's very landscaped and manicured around the main house and where the houses are. And there are some like hiking and walking trails behind the houses, and there's even a couple ponds back there. So you can lead them over to one of the smaller ponds, and there's a lot of just clear, either very grassy ground or kind of rich dirt for the gardens and stuff like that, and you can use any of the areas. And they're pretty secluded. There's lanterns hanging around, and there's plenty of light here in the evening, and it's a starry moonlit night, so you can choose pretty much wherever you'd like to do this.
So she just lead them to one of the ponds, but she was lingering there for a bit while she was out.
Yeah, yeah. So you guys head over to one of the many small ponds that's in the back of the property, kind of nestled up against the hills, and you know, even with the given situation, it is very beautiful and kind of cool and nice over there. There's plenty of benches to sit on as well. So, Sonny leads you over. What are you doing?
You want to promise or something?
Hold on. Burning my brain. I feel like I might be.
Probably best if you do it then. You know the order of the strokes.
Sounds good. You find a stick.
Okay.
And it starts going.
As you pick up a stick, and it's easy enough to find one that has fallen nearby and just grab one, you kind of think about what Sonny just said, and first you're like, order of strokes? And then as you get the stick in your hand, you're like, oh yeah, I draw it a specific way. And you notice that it's not simply like tracing out the shape. You do a stroke here and a stroke here and then a twist here, and it really is art as you do it. And you notice that there's a flow to when you do it. And this is completely a novel experience for you because you've never woven magic in this way. So your body just kind of takes over almost doing it from memory. And it takes you 2 to 3 minutes to carve it into the ground, but it's about 5.5 feet either way, so it's a pretty large rune on the ground. And you finish it, and as far as you can tell from seeing the piece of paper, it's a 1-to-1 copy. And you finish it with a flourish, then you have the rune on the ground.
It's very impressive for a first time.
Thanks. I don't know why I did.
I was a little concerned you might say that.
I'm sure it will all be fine. It's not like this woman's ever screwed us over before.
Along this way.
Not too sure what I'm supposed to be doing now with this.
Hey, you really focus on the problem. There will be a place that you can leave them to push and then the rest is what you might say.
He'll do exactly that. As best he can. With his limited mental aptitude for magic.
Okay. So go ahead and roll an Arcana check.
Oh boy. That's better. What is it? 11?
11. Okay. So yeah, you start to focus on it, and you don't really know what you're doing, so you kind of just stare at the rune, almost disassociate a little bit, / like squeeze some muscle in your head. And you're like, am I doing it right? Am I doing it right? And then all of a sudden, for whatever reason, the grooves in the fresh dirt that you made slowly start to fill with kind of a whitish gray color, and a faint glow is cast off of them. And you all notice bits of dirt in the ground start to glow different colors very slowly, like if the dirt's encased in molasses or something. Very slowly it starts to move and swirl, and over the next like 30 seconds it picks up speed and picks up speed, and slowly all the pieces of colored dirt come together to form a sort of glittering image of Era in front of you. At first you see the high black boots that she's wearing, and then her pants, and it slowly forms, and at the end of it, it's almost like she's standing in front of you, but you can tell that like what's making up her body right now are these pieces of dirt that are somehow enchanted with magic that are replicating the colors that are being projected. So it kind of shifts and moves in slightly odd ways as she stares at all of you, and you all get your first real close-up look at Era besides Vander and the Dream. She's wearing knee-high black boots that have a lot of gold etching arcane runes on them. They don't have a heel on them. They're flat boots. She's wearing a belt with 3 pouches that go like all the way around, 2 on the sides, 1 on the back. She has a very simple sort of gray shirt on. It's tied at the top in a bow and has her sleeves pushed up. Her pants have lacing down each side, and you see scarring through the lacing on her legs. You see scarring on her chest. She is a very pale pink in color, like a tiefling, but also not a tiefling. She has what could be stumps of horns broken on her head, very small ones, and she is bald, though she does have black eyebrows. There's no other hair on her body that you can see. And she has a lot of scarring on her face and any exposed skin. It looks like it's healed a long time ago. She was probably considered very classically beautiful at some point before the scarring, unless she was born with it. And even now, she has a pretty cut, high jaw and cheekbones. She stands at about 6'2", with the boots, and the boots don't have a heel, so she's about 6'2" tall. And she has a blue shawl around her shoulders. Her eyes are sapphire, and she has a pretty neutral expression on as she materializes in the dirt, and she just glances at each one of you and then kind of does a small circle and looks around to see like where she's at, sort of thing, and if there's anybody else. And then she just fixes her eyes on Vander.
I actually don't know what to say.
I assume it's even as well where you are.
I heard you wanted to talk.
I certainly have some questions about what's been going on in this. I imagine we don't need to consider any introduction of ourselves at this point.
No, not at this point. Like I mentioned to your fuzzy friend, Atet is very upset at you right now. So your names are oft spoken.
I can imagine she is not very
The feeling is very mutual.
I mean,
We're fine. We're
You're open to finding out what's going on with this.
I would be surprised if you didn't have those feelings, to be honest, but you have my ear because your companion really wanted to talk to me for some reason. After he
It's
Hmm?
it's kind of what it is.
be the same way with all of you.
Sometimes.
One of the few people I've seen react in a dream that way. Not many people have your spirit.
You studied the spirit.
That's not what I meant. I meant fighting back against that dream that way. Most people are more than happy when you give them what they want. Or what they think they want in their subconscious at least.
It's very much like the person you're right. Let's fight to defeat that.
Why, thank you. It took quite a lot of engineering, only to be spoiled by people like you, though it still is considered a success in my book overall. So, what questions do you have, Fuzzy One?
Well, you like it's comfortable where I'm looking over and he's either standing or sitting.
Just want to be benches.
I mean, you did do it like in the, but you can't sit on a bench near her, so she can't move out of the rune, but she looks like she can move within the rune and the weird shifting, like dirt specks.
Well, I did bring you here to learn more about you if you were willing, and of course maybe become some sort of friends. That might be a lot to hope for given the history between us and
There is a bit of a gap to cross, yes.
yeah. But I don't think you're an evil or malicious person. I think you have a good goal in mind. Like you feel like you're doing the right thing, and I wanted to sort of think at your thoughts and the process in which you're going about these choices. Because I thought it was interesting and in a way very hopeful.
Well, we can agree on the fact that no, I don't think that what I'm doing is evil, nor would I call myself evil. I think other forces in the world are evil. And those are some forces that we are fighting against. Each of us has a different approach to it.
Yes.
I'm not a Tet's master. A Tet does what a Tet wants. I do what I want. Even though we work together to some extent. But I have a feeling friendship is not possible because I don't think after your lovely little display of morals and values that you would really agree with what I'm doing or what she's doing, which I feel is pretty clear at this point from my conversation with you at least. And if it's not, I can educate you a bit.
It depends. For me, definitely not with the tech. I think her approach is very deadly.
You could say that.
But I think your approach, it has some merit in terms of the thought behind it. Maybe, in my opinion,
And what is that thought? What do you think that I'm doing after I explained it?
with your approach with wanting the thinking that the world isn't deserving of heroes.
Yes.
Yes, I can understand that thought process, but I don't really know or necessarily agree with the way we go about implementing that thought, I suppose. And that's what got me curious about what you're doing and your goals. And we can talk about that if you want to.
I admit that I don't really see the point in discussing it, but since you've gone through the trouble of getting me to agree to even show my face in front of you, I can answer maybe some questions, but again, I think that there is a disconnect between what people like you want and what I want, because you still believe heroes exist and can be a thing, and probably that the world deserves them. Well, I, on the other hand, believe that Akora does not deserve any of the heroes that it's had in the past, nor any that it has now, nor is it deserving of any more in the future, hence my personal machinations. And thankfully, we've had some success already in cutting down the worldwide population of idiot adventurers, who now can hopefully live much happier, fulfilling lives, even if they are shorter, doing what they want and not being misused by others. And I have no idea. Maybe getting fucked by people that use me. It's not that hard to connect the dots on that one.
Yes, but just curious what was the
Well, let's make some educated guesses, children. I'm covered from head to toe in scars. So maybe something horrific happened to me that scarred my body for the rest of my life, and the people that I was supposedly being a hero for led me to burn, literally. And because they did that, they now have to contend with me many, many years later, because they made the mistake of letting me burn.
Was it this hell or high water group?
There were many people in Hell or High Water.
I mean, yeah, that would lead to some bitterness.
Just a bit.
Yeah. That's
Especially if you had to watch many companions die, innocent souls that you were supposed to be a hero and save, all die in a horrific, gruesome way, and you were forever changed by it.
I'm curious about, like, I completely understand why you would feel the way you feel about going through such horrendous experiences, but it's with your thought process and the opinion that you carry, it makes sense to have. And but my question is, what got you to take that approach versus, say, making the world deserving of those heroes?
Making the world deserving?
Yeah. Because if you believe that it's not, you go about changing the world to where you feel that all your efforts matter. And in the past, the way you describe it, even though we might feel that these people invalidated you, and for sure they did, that despite that, the things that we did, the heroism that we exhibited, they still do matter. Despite the situation now where others might think of you for your practices, that doesn't change the fact that you are a hero.
I hate that word, and I would never use that word with myself. Not anymore.
What word said? Because I don't want to use words that way.
I mean, as much as I also disagree with it, the word villain is probably appropriate at this point in time, but I would just say anarchist. Maybe. I don't know. I don't typically tend to sit around thinking about such things, not anymore. And to answer your question, we all grew tired of even the idea of attempting to change the world through politics or slow means. So to make the world more deserving of heroes is an epic quest, but one that would take generations And even then, probably would never see any sort of real fruition. Because the world is always going to have people that use and exploit each other. And this world seems to have an abundance of people that want to use and abuse and exploit. So, we didn't really see any point in trying the measured, kind, gentle approach, especially after what happened to us.
Well, that's not what I'm suggesting at all.
Then what are you suggesting?
I'm here for you. It's fine. It's as long as you know.
Cats in space.
Please don't hurt people.
Maybe help along the state.
What's that?
Maybe help along the state.
Well,
Oh,
maybe helps blow up ahead of space.
Oh! See, anarchy.
I mean, I was there for that, yes.
Why were you there?
Do you have a guess?
We're doing something to make evidence.
Oh, so they can put clues together. Yes, I was doing something to the Academy. The Academy was one of my test beds. And it was working just fine, and I have many people in Vinzor that have been saved from the plight of being a hero because of my efforts there. Being at the ball was a mere curiosity of mine to see what those idiots did this time in their pretend evil council. I didn't expect the extra entertainment from all of you, but it was quite nice.
So, yes, along with that thought, instead of the gentle, the impatient route that you said, that's not necessarily what I'm suggesting, though it is a possible one. Of course, there's going to be corruption, terrible people in the world, but those are the stuff that we can't really necessarily fight against in the grand scheme of things, but that doesn't mean you can't take a direct approach. So, like, take the incident that we were just talking about with us taking out a city.
Playing little
That's not sinking. No,
Playing little assassins, yes.
I personally, I don't like to kill. I've never killed a person. I would prefer not to ever.
I noticed you were absent with that trollop of an elf.
Yes. But that doesn't mean I'm against the enforcing of taking evil individuals who are evil. Like that.
All right, so you would suggest that we went on a crusade to take out those that wronged us.
Yes. In a not lethal way, at least, if you can't help it.
what is it that you're trying to do? Like this, we talked about, changing the world, getting rid of heroes. But why does this happen?
Well, we each have our own ideas and machinations of how we want to achieve our goal. But yes, I am the creative individual behind Glister Delight's Taint, and it is one of the delivery methods which I have found for my alchemical concoction that removes or suppresses that desire within people to be idiotic adventurers and heroes, to strip the nation states of their fodder. These people are not to be harmed. My concoction doesn't hurt people. It removes one desire from their life, but they can still continue to live a happy, normal, healthy life. It doesn't take away anything besides that. So I want to see Arlia. I want to see Quandir. I want to see the remnants of the Enchanted Empire of Ilion turn into small, normal nation states that have no standing army, and people just get to go about their lives. No more war, no more crazy heroes and villains fighting it out over the landscape of normal people.
Yeah, but like what happens when you have like Edwin or Ted just coming and being like, fuck all of you normal people? Are they just supposed to be like, oh darn,
I have a solution.
I'm enjoying my farming?
I have a solution. You just said it. You made this concoction to remove this one desire. Do it for the opposite people.
What? So if anyone ever has an evil idea, a bad idea, you get rid of
To
it?
make war, to commit sin. That's even a little weird.
Yeah.
Well, taking her approach. I don't know if you know. I personally, I probably wouldn't do it. I don't have the thought process, I guess. But take what you're doing with heroes. You could apply it to the very people who have wronged you instead. Why stop the people that just want to do good? and instead stop the people that want to do that.
It's possible, and I have conducted research in that vein, but interestingly enough, the forces of evil and good are very different. And it's much harder to stop an evil individual. But it doesn't mean that I haven't tried. My experiments have been inconclusive in that area so far, but as you have all annoyingly witnessed, it is not a perfect concoction, nor it will never be, and there will be a selection of the populace outside of my control, no matter how good I get at this. So there will always be some people that will be heroes or adventurers as much as I want to tamp down on it, and if I can get it down to 90%, I consider that a win. There'll still be people you can volunteer for service in an army. There'll still be people that serve their country. But I'm talking about people like you, adventurers, heroes, people that respond to the call of something greater good. So if Edwin shows up, there should be someone to stop him, and if there isn't, oh well.
Your thought process in there, it seems a little strange to me. I don't really understand it, because you want to stop heroes, but you want to stop, you essentially want to stop heroes from, like us, like experiencing the trauma that you want to nip that in the bud.
Yes.
Someone ever having
And it's not like if someone is attacked after being affected by my concoction, they're not going to understand self-defense. Like if a village is raided, everyone that is a trained individual that can fight back against the fucking thing. It's not like you can't fight back against Edwin. If Edwin popped back up, people would fight back against him, but nobody's going to be looking for heroics. It's nuanced. Because yes, I want to stop people like you. I want to stop the three of you, because the world doesn't deserve the three of you, and you're probably just going to get hurt by being heroes anyway, and you're going to end up scarred in one way or another with no thanks to show for it.
No problem. What is the connection between your research and the blight? Yes.
That's a text project. There's no relationship.
Seem related.
They may have some connections, but not the type that you're thinking of. We share certain materials, but beyond that, we tend to stay out of each other's business to a certain
Any of these materials like gold dust?
No, that's a pretty wretched material. I have some. I don't think I've ever used them, though. No.
Okay, checking that off with the list of conspiracies coming together.
ask for intense gold. I know yours, you said, is kind of bigger than hers.
It's exactly what she's.
Who the fuck cares?
I'm the more altruistic one of the group. Atet wants every Fae dead if she has her say. She wants to completely ruin and destroy the Feywilds because of the Fae's role in what happened to her. So she's off on her own little crusade right now, though I have helped her with a thing or two. She is hell-bent on getting rid of any Fae royalty and most of the Fae after their involvement in what happened to Atet, which is her story to tell. We got fucked.
But why? I guess I don't really understand the thought process of condemning everything.
Oh no, she's pretty blinded by rage and insane at this point.
Why not help them?
I tried to help them.
Well,
She is afflicted by a malady that is in some ways the worst that came out of what happened to us. And she has been changed in a way that the word shattered soul is one that's used often in conversation with Atet, because her
literal shattered souls. Is that what you mean? Like literally shattered?
literally shattered to the point that she has multiple shards that have different personalities at this point. And the Fey magic inside her continues to boil and torture her every day of her life. So I have tried to help Atet many a time. And the only thing that has brought her any semblance of peace in this world is killing Fey royalty.
This might be wild to think about.
Oh, This is all wild at this point.
Yes, tell me about it.
I know it's I know we don't really see eye to eye on everything, but we do see eye to eye on everything. In that Ted needs help.
I think he just needs to not be able to cause that kind of harm.
Yes, and in my thought process, if we, or if she somehow gets the help that she needs, she can stop.
If we can, if it's possible to give her that help and stop her, yes.
Again, I am vehemently against putting someone in. I know that, like, even if they're being like, it's hard for me to conceptualize the possibility of hurting someone.
I don't know. Genocide makes that pretty easy for me.
Well, I can understand that.
Look, there are degrees, but yes.
Yeah, it is me personally doing it. It's not hard.
Tet's malady is one that I think is beyond anyone's ability to solve. If someone found a cure for her, I would be the first in line to cure her.
I thought of astral healing.
Yes, I have tried astral healing. I have tried taking her to every corner of this godforsaken world and some of the planes, and no one has been able to diagnose or cure what inflames her soul at this point. I love that woman, but I don't know if she's able to be helped at this point, as much as I might hope that she could.
I can understand that. I had experience with shattered soul healing. I have a patient right now. And
Oh, yes, the trollop, the one that hit Tet's curse.
yes.
I assumed you figured out that it was Ted by now.
Yes, that's very obvious.
Yes. Because it's been done to her, she's quite apt at shattering other souls.
So if I'm able to, or I guess all of us are able to go about reversing the damage caused by pencil and spell, that's even affecting her technically. Is it possible that we could kill her in the same vein?
Anything is possible, I assume, but I have taken her to great healers and sages and elemental beings, and none of them were able to do it. So yeah, maybe you could. Good luck getting close to a Tet without dying.
Would you consider it?
About what? Hey, these adventurers that are being really annoying on the material plane and the ones that just stopped your blight, they want to talk to you about your shattered soul.
Not like that!
Do you have a better idea?
To say that you might have found a healer to look at her one
Oh, I'm sure she'd agree to it happily, because then she'd get to run a Fey Prince through.
Yeah, let's keep that a check!
Pretty much killed her entire bit. Let's not let her finish.
If you can give me some sort of new evidence that what you did to heal that bitch, that elf, maybe I can look into the research, but you have to give me something new and novel. For now, you healed somebody that had a minor injury in compared to what happened to a Tet. So if you can ever give me any more concrete evidence, I could look into it.
Are you able to look into the actual?
Into the healing?
Are you able to look into someone's spirit?
No.
I'm able to, but I'm not too sure how I would be able to.
I am a
show you
practitioner of the arcane. I cannot look into someone's spirit the way that someone like you could. But I have heard from people that have seen it, that spirit, and described it to me. I have not seen it myself.
what would describe it.
Picture a crystal shattered by a fade green explosion that is vibrating in and out of time.
Oh no, I mean me describing the process of healing my friend.
I mean, you could. She thinks, she squints for a second at you, friend. Is that what you're calling her now?
He's all like, he's embarrassed. He's like, oh.
Oh, I guess you're not too sad that she almost died with what Aaron did.
I'm so sad. Terrifying.
Who's the next she's alive?
She shouldn't be. He was sent to kill her. And all of you, but that failed.
Yeah, it is.
It was a Tet, if you haven't figured that out.
It seems it's sworn to her somehow.
She has many who follow her.
Is she, question is that, is she, I guess, patron, was a patron to him?
I don't pretend to understand the sort of magic that a Tet has at this point, but she is able to anoint followers.
I don't know if you know, or if you don't know, like, how did that come to be?
Her being able to anoint people?
For Aaron.
Oh, for Aaron? I have no idea. I don't know the man, nor do I follow the details of everything that you're asking me about. This is just an amusing distraction from my boring evening right now, is the only reason I'm even here. But no, I have no idea who Aaron is beyond the basic description that I've gotten. And I have no idea why he's working for a Tet or when that started or anything like that. But she has plenty of followers, I can tell you that much. That are sworn to her insanity, I suppose.
But yes, if you would like to even describe the process of that in spirit, I can't. I wish I could show you properly, but I don't know if I to show the proof that
You probably need to find somebody that was injured in a similar way and then show me the method in person.
probably not.
Not many people have their souls shattered, though.
I see. How much you injured?
Where we were destroyed so long ago. Make a persuasion check.
That is 16.
The ruins of a city now, well, the ruins of a city that used to be called Uni, around 70 years ago.
The ring. What ring? In our time, the ring?
I actually did not hear you.
It's the good from in Warfire, the ring we found?
They found it more than that. Yes.
Yes, that's the city that was from.
Oh my god, from the hat.
Oh, yes.
Yes. I also think you guys are the town, so yeah. That town, cool.
I've heard many stories of what happened there, but none of them were really ever able to explain it.
Well, there's plenty of history books on the subject.
Most of them have not ever created a full picture like I've ever seen. The temple has archives. This one.
If you all want to talk about this more, I could grab my partner and show you the process in which I go through the healing soul. It is a long process. It does take several treatments. Kind of like therapy.
Like I said, I'm having a quiet evening, and this amuses the shit out of me that you're even trying to talk to me at this point. So why not go for broke? If you want to bring your partner here and try to show me something, I'll entertain it for now.
This is not really very eventful.
I'm definitely going to ask her before. If she agrees, then it means a moment of therapy.
I don't know if this is the best context for that, but
I will be right back.
All right. Well, as you run off back to the house, we'll use that to take our break right now. So, sadly, we are recording tonight. We can't stay live, talk to people, stuff like that. But we'll be right back because this will be edited and posted and all that good stuff. So we'll be back in just a little bit from our break. So see you soon.
Yeah, I can see his
Anders hubris.
Yeah, he has a lot of things that he's trying to do.
Yep.
I have to say, I like that.
Era's I've been dying since the beginning of the campaign for Era to be able to talk to people. So It is something that I was very excited about.
I'm not a found angle.
Yes, very much so. The angle was Vander being annoyingly nice.
Yay! Being annoyingly nice and overbearing that aspect of
When did you roll? You rolled the 20 at the end when you said you wanted to talk.
Yes.
Yeah, because you were just consistent in everything up until that point. But then at the end, you rolled 20, and on the persuasion, to see if she would meet you.
Yeah, he's not great at no, it's not because we used to go home.
Say what?
It's like, oh no, it's something that's good.
everybody. Welcome back. We're back from our break, and we're going to dive right back into the story. So, after I get the lemon out of my mouth, whew, of course I had a piece of candy in my mouth. So, we left off with Evander scurrying off into the distance, back to the estate. I assume you were looking for a certain elf.
Yeah.
Okay. So you make it back to the estate, and as you walk into the house, you see Fulmar is washing dishes, and the kitchen has been pretty much cleared of it, everything that was out for the feast. Just kind of nods at you absentmindedly as they seem lost in thought working on the dishes. And you spot a bundle of blankets over in the same spot that you two were sleeping in earlier. It's probably the elf that you're looking for.
I'm over. Like, gently trying to make her free.
Yeah, she seems like she had maybe dozed off lightly and stirs a bit and just kind of looks up at you, and you see the faintest trace of a bit of a smile on her lips, and she goes, "Yeah?"
Hey, I was wondering if you would like to do some of session of casual gaming for your soul.
I mean, I feel like I just need sleep right now, but it's probably a good idea to work on that, to do that, yeah.
Sauron's voice. I heard from the father.
Leave the boy alone. And she like slowly pushes herself up, and she's still wearing your hand-me-down shirt.
Now, with this, we can do it in private, but or you can rest. It's up to you. I wanted to bring this to you as we have someone that we're sort of talking to currently, and it might make good headway towards the evil that we're trying to and this person wanted to the process of actual healing, and that would be launching. But if you don't want them to, they don't need to. You can just do this.
You see a myriad of emotions cross her face as you're talking, shifting between surprise, confusion, maybe a flash of anger, and with confusion being the overriding theme. And eventually she seats herself, pulls herself up, and reaches over and just like puts a hand on your chest. Not really like a comforting or like a touchy expression, just like touching you to like ground herself almost. She puts a hand on your chest and goes, "Wait, I'm confused. Who are you talking about? What's going on? We just had
see.
say what?
You want to come see?
Sure, but did somebody just arrive at the farm, or what are you talking about?"
So I did a magical projection of sorts. It's like a physical sending,
Okay,
and they're talking past Sonic.
but who are they?
Their name is Era.
Is this somebody that you know? I'm trying to play catch up. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. It's the pink lady that we sometimes mention.
The one that's responsible for the Glister Delight pandemic?
Yes.
You're talking to her.
Yes.
Is it safe?
Yes.
How do you know that?
Because it's pretty much a sending. So there's a physical reflection of her. So
All
she
right.
sees us, but other than that, she has no tangible ability.
You mentioned that. Okay. I don't know where my armor or my weapon is right now, so I assume that like I should still get those.
You don't have to. You're safe.
Can we though?
I would like to think so. I know that you get in tussles and stuff with people. And sometimes you got hurt. And he's like, and anyway, I know if it's of any comfort, I wouldn't let anything happen to you that I couldn't possibly fix. But again, you can come see what the actual projection stuff or the healing that can come when you're ready for it. It doesn't have to be now.
Will you keep me safe? All right, let's go meet this Era person then.
And he'll offer.
And she'll take it, and she seems like she's recovering just fine, and most of what she's going through right now is mental shock, not anything physical, so she struggles for a second and pulls herself up with your help. And she like looks down at the shirt and like 'cause she's wearing the shirt and like just a pair of pants and like no shoes. Are you sure that I don't need to change?
If it's more comfortable, you can.
I don't care. I just didn't know if it's. I'm fine. Let's just go.
He'll take his, like, his second layer. He'll take it on the bottom.
Give her an extra layer.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. She'll pull it around and just wait for you to lead her on. So she'll follow you out, and is very quiet unless directly spoken to because of the shock. But she will walk out with you, and like 10 minutes or so later, awkward silence with Era. Say what?
In that walk.
Yes.
He will whisper down in her. Did when you ran in, by the way, you carried me out. That was hot.
Oh God, she'll actually like. You two will be walking like in silence for a minute or something like that, and then you'll like lean down and say that, and she'll just kind of tilt her head like an ear up and listen. And she goes, like it's almost like emotion comes back into her face for a second. Wait, what?
It was really hot.
Thank you. I mean, you were on fire, almost, because of where the fireball landed. So, we needed to get you out, so I popped a giant strength potion, because I didn't know if I could do it without that, and Princess carried you out, so...
Well, I may not have been on literal fire, but oh my goodness.
She just, like, you see the slightest blush in her cheeks at that. So you like strong women, then? Oh, okay. Wait a second.
What is that?
It's a nat 20. Because that's the option. She stops, and she, like, probably holding your hand or, like, holding on to you or something like that. She tugs you to stop. Vander.
What? What did it do?
Vander.
What did I do?
Alavander.
Well.
That's why, back in Orishire, when I woke up and tossed your ass onto the bed, you were all starry-eyed at me. Oh my God. That explains. Oh my God.
Oh my goodness.
Well, yeah, revelations. That was her insight check to remember that.
That's amazing.
Well, it looks like yeah, diplomacy. It looks like I'm going to have to make sure that I have more giant strength potions with me than love, won't it? And she continues walking.
He's all big-eyed, flustered.
We don't need to make that exact noise.
Yeah.
That's what I was picturing, if that's Vander's voice. Does he scurry after her?
Yes.
So, about 10 minutes or so later, Vander and Sick come into view through the bushes and the trail. 10 minutes of probably awkward silence with Era at this point, unless you all had specific things you were going to try and
We
talk to
were
her
probably
about.
have a couple other questions, but
Yes. Where do you like to start?
actually, you were that part of the color of Highwater?
Lots of people are part of Hell High Water.
I mean, yes, but I'm not asking about lots of people.
I mean, I guess it's not too much of a secret to spill at this point, because you probably should have connected the dots. But yes, I was part of Hell High Water, and so was Ted.
That is making sense. That's it. I mean, all of the story that was passed down was simply that your group was able to stop it, but no one really understood how. There were just ruins left.
Yeah, it's like a bunch of information was repressed or something.
It's seeming that way, yes.
It was a disaster. The nations of the world clamped down on it very quickly.
I heard of this much. They sent armies and fleets, and they just could not do anything about it. There was anyone who tried. Just
Well, they couldn't do anything about it. Their blockade around the island worked really well to make sure nothing got in or out. Blockade. Maybe look into the history of it a little bit more. There's got to be some shreds of truth out there. But their army showed up. Their ships showed up. And they didn't do shit except sit in the fucking water and make sure that nothing left or came in, including us.
It's terrible. What's happening? That no one even knows for sure. They just said demons.
What was happening there?
Yes.
The demons,
Anything.
magic, all sorts of things. There's a reason it's a pile of rubble and ruins that most people are forbidden to even set foot on that island anymore.
That is about the size of what I've heard, yes.
I mean, I can appreciate your interest in wanting to ultimately save lives by not, encouraging people to go into a really harrowing career path of adventuring. That's my perspective. I don't think it was any of our picks.
Maybe not those.
Yeah, maybe not mine. But, I'm curious. The whole magic situation that's going on right here. Are you really actually thankful? Like, do you feel anything coming through?
I don't dare guess why you're asking that, but no, I can't feel or smell or interact. And she goes like this towards you, and her hand crosses over like the rune on the ground. And as soon as the hand goes over, the sparkling little bits of dust, dirt turn back into dirt, and you get sprayed with a blast of dirt. And her arm like cuts off there until it comes back inside, and slowly new pieces of dirt float up and reform to form the hand. It's just dirt.
So if I reached in there, would that disrupt the room?
No, but you would touch a cloud of dirt.
Yeah. It's still worth it. I'm just gonna take a swing.
You do.
Face.
With the mace.
Yeah, just with my face.
Okay, yeah, you pass into the room like there's nothing there. There's nothing like stopping you, and you connect with like this fluffy, soft dirt, and just tear right through her midsection. And she just kind of looks amused and cocks an eyebrow. And her middle section's gone, and she's floating in two halves for a second. And then slowly, new pieces of dirt gain color and float back up and trickle up her legs and reform the midsection. And she goes, "Therapeutic."
Yes. Do not. How dare you
Oh, how dare I what?
bring Sasha into anything?
That wasn't me.
It was you. It was you and the thing and the.
I might have been there watching over things, but that is your subconscious, sweetheart. I'm not sitting there picking through your fucking brain, dreaming up stuff for you. This is automated. This is this is your inner desires and your brain working against you, or just shedding, not even working against you, that's actually wrong. It's what you want in a perfect world. It's not my fault, but that's what you want. Well, remember, the end result is that you're supposed to be able to live happy. So if you would have given in to it, you would have at least had a gentle fantasy to let your mind rest in.
And then what? I just die in that photo.
No, I said people don't die. You would go back to your life thinking that at some point you did experience happiness with this person. And even though they're not with you right now, you would be more content and not have a gaping hole in your heart, I assume.
You know about the skeletons there?
Yeah,
That girl was full of bodies.
I know. That's a Tet's doing, not mine.
So that was cool.
Yeah. The end result is not meant to be cruel, though I can see on a academic level why you would think it would be cruel, yes. But it's not like someone's standing there puppeteering your dreams.
I just have to say, under like different circumstances, I feel like I would really like you, but I'm also just I hate you.
No, that's the appropriate response I'd expect. Vander's the weird one.
It is a little strange, yes.
I mean, my suggestion would be therapy, sweetheart. Maybe then the medicine wouldn't have hit you so bad.
I don't appreciate that.
She just looks very pleased with herself.
What were you doing with yourself on this fine evening?
Machinations.
Clearly.
For knitting your shawl.
Yes. My shawl of evil.
I know those things.
Did you have other questions for an answer? Because you can. Nope.
I feel sorry for him, I guess. Left like that with broken sight that there's not much to come, that is absolutely.
It is. And I spent quite a large portion of my life afterwards feeling sorry for myself and other people and being consumed by depression and sadness and so many things. And then I decided to do something about it. My life has been much better since then. So. And it's around that time that Vander walks back with the slightly confused, awkward-looking Stelea in the odd outfit that she's still wearing. And the two of them walk up, and Sick immediately raises both eyebrows when she sees Era, and Era just kind of smiles back at her as if she should know who she is. And Sick looks to Vander.
This is Era. Era, this is Sig.
I'm aware of who she is.
But yes, Sig is his name. First, the one that I was talking to you about if you were comfortable doing a session of actual doing, she would like to watch.
And why does this villain want to see you help me? That part you kind of left out.
Let me explain to you. So my thought process is, from what me and Era briefly spent before I get you, is that if my teachings can help pet, because pet is on your sound effects, I'll say, just to be kind of simplistic about it,
Okay.
are reminiscent of a spiritual shattering. And Era, if I understand correctly, is like considered thinks, and I think too, that if that Ted's soul or spirit can heal the maliciousness and the damage that she has done, come to a more peaceful end for all of us.
Interesting. Sonny, Cass, what do you think about this whole thing?
This is. I'm not so sure about that, but I think there are some interesting things we can learn from this.
I mean, I think they're looking at the top of the tree, on top of the tree, for answers.
Well, Vander said he'd keep me safe. You all seem to know what's going on, even though I'm playing catch-up still with...
Not quite so far as saying I know what's going on, but people feel pretty well demonstrated that nothing is going back and forth besides words.
And she is just very, we tested that. Like, not as a person, just in this sense.
And Era kind of smiles a bit and leans forward and like puts her hands on her knees to like almost be on eye level with Sick because she's so much taller, and goes and says directly to Skelea, besides, I'm sure the fucking right hand of a demigod, a big old hero, is going to be just fine sitting there getting some healing in front of a villain.
Hey, let's be respectful, because the process of actual healing is kind of dependent on the person being healed to be a calm state.
Sick, like, narrows her eyes at Era as Era straightens back up and she rolls her eyes at you. Era rolls her eyes at you. Fine, but you do understand how, like, she's the shining example of everything that I want to get rid of, right? Miss Goody Little Two Shoes that has been hurt a billion times. Miss Skelea, who has been publicly and privately humiliated and injured by so many people, but continues to be the shining force for good.
Would you, after all the turmoil she's been through, be someone like that person?
I'd have her be someone like me, or at least to, gotten back at everybody that's taken advantage of her instead of being a figurehead for the state and the demigod, but...
She's making some great strides towards righting the wrongs of the people that have harmed her. And I think the steps that she goes through in sort of being the bigger person versus stepping to the or stooping to the same level as people that were on there to be extremely respectful.
I suppose
It's a process of
I will restrain any of my comments for the time being. And Scalea's like slowly crossed her arms as all of this has been happening, and she's just glancing between the two of you as you're talking. Almost seems a little more like herself, probably because of the anger and then the laughs on the way here and everything. She is not the nicest individual, but I think I'm in a perfect state of mind if you would like to demonstrate this.
Yeah.
So,
and it would be a good session.
and just because I want to prove her wrong now, out of spite.
And I feel like yeah. So there's not much. He throws to Era. There's not much to this process other than me and her sitting and channeling through the spirit. You'll see a sort of blue glow from me. I'm not sure you'll see it from her. But I have looked on at her.
Well, if you're going to do this, hold on, and I'll be right back. And she walks away, and the dirt maintains the shape, but the person isn't there anymore. Like, it's not colored, it's just a cloud of dirt in the shape of Era, but it's like she walks away from something for a second, and then comes back a few moments later, and you see her casting a spell of some sort, and when she finishes, very short cast, her eyes just have a bit of a glow to them, and then she kind of settles back into her stance with the shawl, and goes, I will attempt to observe whatever I can from here.
What's that thing?
True seeing and my own blend of spells that should give me a little bit more sight into what's going on your end.
That's perfect. And you'll turn to sick. Are you ready?
Sure. I still don't really know what I'm supposed to do because I think you did this when I was passed out last time.
Yes. So
Am I supposed to like sit down or something, or?
preferably.
Okay.
So as a monk, pretty much, I would take the stance, and so then would you, as we sit together face to face.
Okay. Sure. Just sit down then.
It's mostly a mental preparation on your part, and the rest is me.
Okay. And she looks around and like she almost goes to sit on the dirt, but then she sees the bench next to you guys and goes to sit on the bench and just sits on the bench cross-legged under the giant shirt.
That's good. You'll sit in front of her, not on the bench.
Okay.
And
And you said like she looks down. Well, I guess straight across probably with you even sitting. But what do I do for mental preparation?
you sort of just welcome through this process.
Even I didn't prepare for that.
That was Scalea. That was that me. But Scalea, like her lips go into that flat little like trying not to laugh. I mean, that was very monk-like of you. It was just funny given the conversation on the way over. But
No, but everything that is being said about how this runs, I don't think it's had to be calm or welcome anyone in. So I feel like we've just read this off as books.
I will empty my mind and try to be as monk-like as possible. I understand your intention. So she closes her eyes and puts her elbows on her knees and tries to just take a deep breath and center into everything. And you can see that Era is restraining herself so hard, chewing on her lower lip as she wants to say a million different things. But she's just pacing back and forth in her tight little confined rune at the moment.
Once that's all ready, then you'll just put some of this actual sense.
Okay.
And that looks like it normally looks how it normally looks with his eye closed, but his own spirit like pops out of him and is reaching out towards her.
Okay. And Sonny and Cass can see that. It's very faint, but Sonny and Cass have an idea of what's going on and can see that.
Right.
Era seems very focused on what you're doing once you actually start the procedure and like steps up to the edge of her rune and like leans right until the tip of her nose starts to disintegrate on the border of it because she's trying to get as close as she can. And Sick just breathes and lets what happened happen. So are you trying to pretty much do exactly what Aerith showed you in the Feywild?
Yeah.
Okay. A lot of it doesn't need a roll, but just in general, give me a wisdom roll with advantage.
Perfect. I'm giving advantage. Is it just a regular check or
Just a regular wisdom check.
21.
So as you're astrally projecting, kind of looking at Sixth Spirit and where the soul wound is that cuts through the area of her head and neck, you get a very... Since you only did this once so far, well, Aerith did it. You didn't even do it, right?
They
Pretty-
did it to.
They did it
If I
together.
remember correctly, he somewhat did it to piece the main piece together.
Yes.
Initially before he knew. And
Yes.
then with Aerith, he did it with her,
Yes.
and then.
So this is like the first time after the formal instruction from Aerith in
Yes.
the Feywild. Yes. So now, since you're focusing on it yourself, you do notice you experience it a little bit different. And as you're astrally projecting, it's kind of like the rest of the world fades away and it's just you and Sif. And she's just kind of floating above you a little bit where the bench would be. And instead of seeing her physical form, you see her light blue aqua kind of aura version of her. And it's almost like she's a statue that somebody cut a triangular piece out of and pushed away. And that piece of her face reflects sadness and pain and is black and white and doesn't really have an aura. And it seems to be warbling in place. And as you reach out astrally, it's almost like your spirit is trying to bring that piece back to reintegrate it with her aura. And it's very slow work. It's very slow going. It feels like you can see that piece slide forward ever so slightly into place, like almost touching her head with the faintest of glow around it now, maybe a splash of color to it. And it's like a stonemason working in reverse to heal a broken statue or something like that. So it's something you have to focus on. You lose sense of time for a little bit. For everybody else, it's going to take about 15 minutes or so before Vander comes back to everybody. When you're doing this, though, roll a perception check.
Wait, not that deep. 13.
Since this is the first time you're doing this, and you have so much time, and there's no rush, and there's no like, oh my god, she's dying or anything like that, as you work and as you lose yourself into the astral experience with this, you do notice something interesting about Six Aura, especially with Atet's comments ringing in your ears. And you see bits and pieces of her body that look like she had damage in the past. And you don't know immediately what they are, though you might say what?
Like her soul and
Her soul and her spirit. So very much like this piece was like cut with a blade and blown out the back of her head, and you're starting to bring that back and reattach it. You notice bits and pieces around her body. No rhyme or reason, like it's not blades or anything, but like you have a puzzle piece here, a little bit of a shoulder, and you notice a lot of little flecks on her body where it looks like something hurt her astral spirit at some point in her life. This could have been like an emotional thing. It probably wasn't something malicious like what happened with this piece. But interestingly enough, to go along with Era's words, it seems like she has been picked and poked and, peeled at for some reason over her life. And you definitely notice a sort of wound where that physical wound is under her right breast. And it's the right color and everything, just a little off. Definitely was injured there at some point. But the 15 minutes passed rather quickly for you and at normal pace for everybody else. And Era moves here and there to try and get a better angle every so often. But at the end of the 15 minutes, you feel exhaustion setting in from just how much raw willpower this takes from you to focus. And eventually you come back to reality gently, but rather quickly over the span of like 5 seconds. And when you open your actual eyes, you see Sick is still sitting there with her eyes closed and just kind of swaying back and forth, and she'll probably slowly awake.
He'll wait for her to open her eyes.
It's only 10 or 20 more seconds, but eventually her eyes like lazily float open and she goes, "Oh, that felt like the best sleep that I've had in a long time. That was just like a really nice dream. and a really good power nap. I don't really know what you did, but that felt nice. Thank you.
Of course. It'll take a lot of that to heal you, but I'm glad it feels nice.
Well, my head doesn't hurt as much anymore, and I feel like I could actually sleep now for real instead of just drifting in and out of consciousness. So, if there's more of that, sign me up.
Cool. He'll stand up and offer her hand to get her off the bench if she desires.
Yeah, she starts and then makes like a little wavy motion and like, I need a second, and she's gonna like sprawl out on the bench.
Cool.
And Air is just standing there. She stands back up as you turn around, and you notice that her hands imply that she's writing, but you don't see the writing utensils. But she's like going like this as you stand up.
You'll turn to her. What do you think?
That was a bit of showy soul manipulation, to say the least. Not exactly what I was thinking when you mentioned astral healing. Interesting brand of astral healing.
I learned it.
I obviously couldn't see everything that was going on, but some of the energies that you were exuding and the way that the weave was manipulated around you is curious, to say the least. Nothing that I've seen before. So.
If it helps to explain the process that I went through, and he like quickly glances to say, "I should for you to know too." Imagine that. I'm sure you know this concept that the imagination behind everyone is a color.
Mhm.
Everyone has this, and everyone glows a certain color, and it's whole, it's unified, it's one being. It's a work of art, the way and when someone's spirit is shattered, they are like wax or pottery, and they are cracked in various places to various degrees, and sometimes those pieces are missing. And for Sarah, she has a big piece missing, which is where the third seems to be. And so the process is bringing that shard that probably say that first. Whenever someone is shattered and they're missing a piece, that piece isn't necessarily gone. It's suspended in another space. And the process of healing for Sarah, at least, is slowly integrating that piece back, bringing one with her. For a test, I would have to diagnose her, but in terms of the process, I would take
The way that I've had it explained to me is if you imagine taking a sucker from a child and crushing it under your boot on a fresh patch of gravel, and you have shattered colored candy everywhere intermixed with rocks that glow, and that's what her soul apparently looks like.
definitely would put this process for me to expedite. If it's something that you are interested in exploring, you can talk to her about it. I would be willing. But of course, that would mean that she would kill me.
That would be the hard part, because as soon as she's near you, she's going to sense that you're Fae and want to drink your blood.
Yeah. It's, as much as given everything I know about her, as much as I guess dislike her, and the action that she's done, I think that even her, even she deserves a chance to heal. Because if she's healed, then perhaps, hopefully, that her machinations for destruction and genocide of the entire race will stop. Because I understand that her desire comes from her shattered soul and the damage that she did. So I can't entirely pin those desires on just her things that she's inflicted.
Well, I believe there has to be an outside influence as well, because something Fae corrupted her or influenced the amount. Something Fae corrupted and influenced her body, and I assume her spirit and soul ages ago, and it twisted her into a different creature. Is this that you use now? Hmm?
Is this everything you guys are?
Yes, we were all there.
Perhaps at first it's still looking there, I'm assuming.
I assume, yes.
And if it's from that same city, perhaps. Sure.
I mean, if you can get onto that island, I'm sure there'd be a delightful amount of things for you to discover and explore. Maybe you could find something. I never found anything, and I don't tend to go back to uni anymore. But she is still under its influence of power, I can tell you that much, and she loves to use it to corrupt other people, like the Ravinos.
She's not a vampire. She has to, like, break that one off.
Where did you get vampire?
Well, you did say drink his blood, which obviously could be a metaphor. But
Oh
there are
no, that
vampires.
was a flair for the dramatic and the
And then
fact.
you said she was turned into another creature.
Oh,
very
I mean
vampire.
that's my bad for mixing metaphors, but no, I just meant the fact that he has fey magic in him because he's a fey creature, but she's not going to actually drink his blood. But it sounds more intimidating when you say that.
Yeah, I want to make sure we weren't missing the obvious.
No, I think a vampire would be less terrifying than what she is. So, yeah. I assume you figured out how the Ravinos were twisted creations at this point.
I think so. Right. I know some of it, yes.
She has the power to twist souls and change people. And she turned the Ravinos from just their base forms, I guess you could say, for the Eladrin, and turned them into the creatures that they are now with those shape-shifting abilities. So she had that done to her originally.
I really think. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Experience. You did it better.
Yeah.
Who was like starting all of this?
I know some of our goals lie in pathways, but
No,
but perhaps this is something that we can work on together. Figuring out this person and if not for the betterment, I guess, of that island, for the betterment of everything.
I mean, that friend would probably crack my skull open and drink my brain and blood if she knew I was having this conversation right now. But I will consider. I am fascinated by the different approach to the scientific method in this case, and I would like to see some relief for Atet even after everything that we've tried unsuccessfully. So I will do my own research. If you think of anything, sure, I'd love to hear it. You can always draw this room to get my attention if I'm not currently engaged. But I don't know if you will find much success on this path.
It's a shot.
Maybe.
For me, everything I do, it may make me an adventurer, but it's for the ones I love. I don't consider myself a hero. I
Most,
don't, but, you know.
most real heroes don't.
But the spiritual healing, perhaps if you ever wanted, I could try it. Because I know a lot of what you could do is like projected into the loopholes that you have. Oh yeah, physical. But perhaps that could help alleviate you some of that burden.
I think my soul is very intact at this point. I didn't walk away with the scars that Atet did. I might be a villain in many eyes, but I'd like to think that my soul and everything is intact.
Our souls can be fractured from just the traumas we experienced.
You could try that therapy you recommended.
Therapy.
If looks could kill.
Like the same if we ever get the same room, it's gonna be really fun.
As long as it's not growing and happy. As long as his fists aren't flowing. But I'm genuine with that. I think therapy is good for us all.
I don't think it would do much on me, but if we ever get to that point, maybe I will entertain the idea out of the novelness of it, just to see what you can do in person. But Atet is another matter, and remember, the elf named Scalea still has the mark on her.
But really, how do we? Can I ask how we do it?
You could ask. I don't know. I assume you fix her or do whatever you're doing until it's healed, and then probably. But I'm pretty sure Atet knows where she is at all times at this point, or can find where she is. It's not really clear to me.
Can we remove that? Or do you know how?
There are. God, I must have had something to drink tonight to be having this conversation. There are different spells to block divine tracking and tracking abilities that you can all figure out on your own that have existed in the world for the last couple thousand of years. One of those would probably be enough. Or heal her, and then it's going to go away. But just a friendly warning that Atet can still see her, and those Inquisitors are probably going to still be after you at some point. I tend to hate those horrible creations, so I'm going to use that as my excuse for giving that piece of information away for free.
Well, sure we all appreciate it.
I mean, she seems pretty resilient at this point, so I'm sure even if you got ambushed by an Inquisitor, she'd worm her way out of it somehow, so...
Despite our differences, I really appreciate you doing this out, talking to us.
You're welcome.
And also the stuff that we did to you has been of some use.
Well, I've learned some intelligence of my own by talking to all of you. It hasn't been a lopsided trade of information, to say the least, but I will be curious if you have anything enough to attract my attention in the future, because I still don't think you truly understand what we're trying to accomplish, and I don't think you'll be able to sway it from us. But if you want to try, by all means, try.
And hopefully you can help us understand. And we get to know each other.
I suppose I would just point at her yet again. Do I leave you with some closing words? The elf sprawled on that bench behind you, and you've noticed that like Sick is still back there sprawled, but she's like taking up space on the bench now. She put like one bench on the top and the other, and she's just staring at Arrow with like a cocky little grin at this point. She knows how to play this game, and she's just like looking at her like, "What, bitch?" Era waves at her and goes, "That elf that sprawled out on that bench there, perfect example of why we're doing what I'm talking about. Ask her about her life if you don't already know all the fucked up things that happened to her, because it's pretty much public information, and yet she still persists, and the world doesn't deserve her. And that's why I call her a trollop and all those other words, because I think she's stupid to keep persisting after this long. Obviously, she has a head injury, otherwise she would stop jumping in front of stuff for people. She could have lived life as royalty. She could have retired a long time ago with her daughter. She could have been the queen behind a massive criminal kingpin and lived in luxury. But no, she did the right thing. So that's why I'm annoyed with that elf." And Scalea just smiles bigger at her. So think about that, why don't you? Because one day it's going to bite her in the ass, and you're not going to be there to save her, and nobody else is going to be there to save her. And honestly, I'm shocked that her and many like her are still going on. Because at some point, this is going to happen.
I said it a long time ago when we initially had that. I know you've been through a lot from traumatic experiences, but the way you look at
It's taken a lot of magic, restorative techniques to get me to the place that I am now. I used to be beautiful. I used to love my body. But after being pretty much submersed in acid and having my skin burned off, my soul ripped out, and all sorts of horrific eldritch horrors shoved into me, this is as good as I got. And I'm okay with it, but a lot was taken from me.
take on my offer about healing yourself.
Healing my soul,
Give it a try.
I will think on it. You
Because
can.
after describing what you described, even as brief, I think there is something there.
I mean, it must be better than talk therapy, at least, and I've done a lot of that over the years, so.
both combined are exemplary.
Oh, I see.
But of course, it's a lot of it is him doing the atmosphere, and that the air comes after.
I'm sure my spirit looks like a pockmarked mess at this point, so maybe if we happen to find ourselves in the same point of the world and I am absolutely bored and I make sure that that one isn't there, because otherwise we might get into fisticuffs. You.
Oh, I feel like to think of other What? Me never. What?
Is she back?
Huh?
Is she back?
I don't usually think about that these days. My type.
Is she your
He starts his conversation.
Not from what gander. Hurry, we here.
How did we get to this place?
Why did I don't know.
We want to?
I don't check out.
Sonny takes 10 points of psychic damage.
Have a lovely evening. We'll be on our merry way.
Thank you for your time, and you're a little mad.
She looks just like her face is the epitome of not knowing what the fuck to do with you, and like especially the rest
No
of
one in this area knows what to do with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Makes Galea knows what to do with it.
No, she has some ideas.
Okay, Scalia's the one person that looks at the banner. Oh my god.
Actually.
Yes. She just kind of watches you bow and just shakes her head and goes, "You know how to contact me if you want."
You can always reach out whenever you want this one.
I suppose I can now, especially since I've seen all of you a little more closely. Well, continue along your merry way being heroes, and good luck.
And you could consider it less of being heroes versus helping your friend.
We're not going to get into a semantics argument. We're holding your breath. Bye.
She just kind of like, she goes to say something and just considers better of it, and just you watch her like lock eyes with you, and then the dirt just swirls down and eventually like makes a small dust cloud as it peters out and the glow fades out of the room in the ground.
What did I do?
It could have gone worse.
I think it's the beautiful.
Answers were received. More questions were raised.
Oh, we have more questions.
Or more questions.
I know I did a lot of talking. Is the idea that I proposed a good one?
Oh, Sonny's not there. She probably left.
Oh.
I think it is a far-fetched idea. But, you know, who knows?
At the very best that I can hope for is actually healing her and ending the malicious thoughts that she has. From what I'm understanding is that she is being afflicted with something that's not entirely herself. That's pressure for you to do very nasty things. That if you can get that person to learn, she's fine. And the worst that would come from that, they were the first.
See, I'm not even sure you're gonna get close enough to her for that, but like at least you can say you tried. And we have to just straight up let her.
I definitely, I can understand that. That's not good. As awful as it is, as much as I can hope for that person, but might as well try. At least first.
Right. Like, my whole shit is made like, I just feel like this is very much a lost cause that is going to lead to lots of lots of fun.
I can understand that.
I mean, she talked to you though. That's the interesting thing.
Yeah, she, when we briefly, or Sonny probably said it to you, I don't know, I'm assuming you can walk.
Oh yeah.
Yes,
Okay,
yeah,
yeah,
that
yeah,
way we can
yeah,
get up with
yeah.
It was briefly mentioned by Sonny that while we were in the heart, we healed it, but there was a arrow was there. She had a magical effect on the heart that if people got close to the heart, they were inflicted with what they subconsciously desired in a perfect world.
Mhm.
It goes along with what Arrow was saying, where she wants heroes to not be heroes, but they want to retire and peaceful life in their mind to an extent, and this way they can see the adventures. And we each had our own sort of quest. And I met her, we all met her in hours, but I met her and covered her in my conversation. She reached out to me. Taught me how to do it.
So the villain of the story decided to just talk
I guess so.
and then meet all.
She actually doesn't seem that dense. Yeah, I feel like she's very, very misguided. But she has been through so much that it's put her in a sort of position where she doesn't think that anything could possibly become better for her or anything else.
Were you bolting away, or like would they catch up to you and you'd be able to hear this? Because they would be coming out.
I think she just got up and started walking.
Okay, so they probably catch up to you, so you're hearing this conversation. I mean, Cass, what do you think most villains are?
Well, see, there's a Tet
Sure.
who's a villain.
Okay.
But even with that, she's cursed and not entirely herself.
Maybe. Her curse is causing her to want to wipe out the entire Feywild. That's pretty evil.
Yes, but
That's
would
pretty
it
evil.
be her as the villain?
I feel they're not the same at this particular moment. But then you have Era, who has clearly gone through a whole lot of shit. But as far as I can tell, she's not actually trying to kill anyone. It's like she has. But she's like, you have gone through way too much shit in the service of politicians who would rather send you to deal with their problems than deal with the problems themselves. And like, is she wrong? Where it's like, how
No.
about instead of sacrificing yourself to the greater good that isn't willing to do shit about you? When, like, they're not gonna take care of you. You just like live the life you want. And there are some flaws with that because we then have a Tet. But like, I can see her point.
She's
It is
not.
morally gray.
She's not deranged. And honestly, most villains that I've met in my life are things that are people and beings that we classify as villains. They're not deranged. They do what they do for a reason, just like we do everything that we do for a reason that makes sense to them. They're not cackling, maniacal caricatures of a villain from a fantasy story or something like that. They're hurt, broken, or even resolved people that are doing something for a very specific reason. And yeah, there's a lot of evil politicians. I've dealt with a lot of evil politicians. I've dealt with a lot of evil rulers. I've dealt with a lot of evil in daily life, sort of thing. And she's not wrong in a way with what she was talking about. And the way that she has an issue with me was amusing, but she's not the first one that's talked to me like that. So I don't know what to make of her, but I would not say that she's... I don't know. It's hard to say. It's just most villains will defy your expectations a lot of the time. Even Edwin himself, the brief little bit that I met when I met the man very briefly, not what you probably would think.
Yeah, but like, to what extent is she causing harm? Whereas like, a Tet is causing a lot of harm.
She is.
Like, yes, it's going in and fucking with people's brains bad. Yeah, I would prefer not
Yeah.
to have that happen. But is she actually hurting?
That becomes a question for philosophers at that point, because you could say that she's hurting people because she's depriving them of their destiny and the life they should have lived, and that she's impacting their free will, which is harming people, or you could say that she's taking them out of the equation and trying to keep them safe. I know a ton of people in my life that technically probably would still be alive if they hadn't gone down the adventurer path for one reason or another. So it's a pretty complicated quagmire that I don't really know who's qualified to answer it at that point. I think that's morals and values, and that's an individual choice. But the fact that she's doing it on a large scale, it's interesting. But what I'm trying to say is, well, I'm not able to muster Vander's optimism. It's one of the reasons I love you is that you are optimistic in the face of this, and maybe that's what this person needs. Maybe Era, as you call her, Era needs optimism. Maybe she needs people to try and show her that there is another way. She might not be a cackling villain that truly is lost and needs to be killed to rid the world of her. For reference, when I met Edwin, he was a sad, scared little man. And he did not strike me as the terror that he was built up to be in Legends. Did he do amazing harm? And did he not only harm the arcane energies of the world, let alone so many people that died in the war? Yeah, but definitely a surprise when I saw him in person. So there's always something going on under the surface. I don't know if you could heal her or help her or convince her, but I think it's a good thing to try because you don't know. And I don't know what's going on with the Tet. I'm putting pieces together from the same conversations that you guys have had, or the ones that I've been privy to at least. And it could be some outside influence on her. It gets really murky because if her soul was shattered by something and that something has influence on her, maybe it's not totally her fault what she's doing. But it quickly becomes murky. And it's very hard to know at that point. But
I definitely feel like it'd be easier to deduce whether or not it's that. This city. What's that?
So he's actually just finally makes it clear that she's been able to hear for the last like minute or two. So he wants to go to the Uni next, it sounds like.
If you guys are maybe
Not directly, but she's Era's not the one. It's a hard place to reach these days.
your home is close, right?
That's in the same chain, but same part of the world, yes.
You could always, if you want to go home, go there first and see what
Maybe
your family is.
if they know anything, is I've read every tome in the Temple's library, cover to cover, a few times, you know? But there are parts of it that even after I was initiated, I was not able to go to. Any places I would have been able to go to, and I finished my pilgrimage, and it really much for the gods. I mean, I don't think they would let me in yet, but if they know more, it would be deep into it.
You know, do the drop plus.
It's the year father out of this.
Or we get a little break in entry.
I don't know if that would be a good idea.
Please don't discuss such things.
I like your chaotic energy. So maybe not there.
It's such a person. I do not see anything like that occur.
Yeah. I would like to make a detour over here in the city for the college. Just briefly, for Erickson. That's it. I'm still tracking.
oh, I guess I forgot about that. Yeah, and see if there's some way to block it.
Yes. I'm not well versed in the arcane, but
I mean, you could leave me here too, or you could leave me somewhere, and I could access the decoy. So
no.
I don't think he's going to go for that.
Not woman.
okay.
Even if we talk him into it, it's going to be so extravagant in the entire time.
I suppose.
I don't want you to sacrifice yourself. And plus, we still need to be here regularly. It doesn't work if you're all the way across the world.
I suppose. I'm just saying that I could probably get a teleport in Gwandir back to Arlia and bunker up in the city or something, and then I wouldn't be slowing you down. And
You don't slow
We
it
have to
down.
be crossing the world anyway. I don't think we have to be going all that slow.
okay, I'm just saying. But it would be nice to not be a burden with that tracking spell anymore, and take that one thing off the list that we have to worry about, or you have to worry about. All of us have to worry about.
If they try to follow us and do anything, then it's better if we are included.
I suppose so.
Really, I mean, you know, saw how I was, right? Because I don't think we want to imagine what he'd be like.
Oh, what? He just He just thinks I'm cute. I'm sure if I left, he wouldn't care that much.
You're joking, right? I can't tell.
And she laughs. And she like holds her hands up and she's like, "I'm fucking with you." But I'm just being a little silly because I'm able to like laugh now ever since what you just did. So I'm basking in that a little bit. So
I'm glad you're feeling
a little better. It definitely helped clear my head after Heron and everything. It's definitely
a lot.
It is a lot, but the whatever you call it, astral healing? Is that what you call it? The actual word?
Natural healing, spiritual healing. It's more along the lines of the actual though.
I'm not exaggerating when I say that it feels like I just had the best nap I've had in my life, and I'm not sad. I'm very sad. I'm a lot of things right now, but they're not controlling me, and I can feel the feelings without them taking over. So I highly recommend that treatment. Era probably would benefit from that because God, I can think more clearly right now. So
And you're going happy. He's like going back.
yeah, she seems much more herself now than she has for a while. So definitely had a good effect on her.
With the topic of actual healing, if this is something that we might possibly do for pets, I do feel like it might be beneficial for you all to learn it in some scope.
Can they learn it? Can non-monks learn it?
I would say so. I mean, I wasn't a monk at some point in my life, but
I mean, that's fair.
through the training, I learned just like anything through this training. Maybe at least my thought is that it can be learned enough to harness it to where if it's a spirit that is so brilliant that I don't have the soul willpower to feel it enough in one go, or not like one go, it's going to take seconds, no matter what, that I can stabilize it at least. That it would be helpful if everyone was able to join in that stabilization. Especially for someone that's been in that same range.
I mean, it makes sense.
It's just up to you. You want to learn.
I mean, I'm always down to learn a new skill. I'm not sure if it's something that I can do, but I'd be up for it. So looks like you have a class to teach there. So it sounds like the college is going to be the next destination on the road.
So, yes.
Well, like I said, well, no, sorry. God, my brain's still scrambled. We already talked to Matthias, and he sent us that way. Yeah, it sounds like a good plan to me, then, see what we can find at the college, because you have multiple things that you can follow up on them. So,
Most of this nice thing. But what's the other thing that Matthias guided us to call it for?
you were going to seek information about Matilda from one of the professors there, specifically with divination magic.
Matilda is someone I wanted to ask Era about, but I wasn't sure if it was my place. No, once I'm around. And she's probably for the best. I do hope that we can find her, and maybe even at the college we can do the opposite of what we're trying to do and see if we can find her. But that's for you guys. I don't actually want to contact everything going on. That's fair.
I mean, did you consider if he's trying to keep you safe?
I think so, but I'm hoping that's the case.
I mean, I don't know the person at all, but I would say that it sounds like he's trying to keep you safe. Who knows, though?
I'm sure that it's what she's doing, right? So,
It doesn't make it hurt any less, but
I just would have liked to have known that's what she was doing for sure.
no, that makes sense. Yeah, I don't blame you. So head out in the morning then, so we don't rain any more fire on this place.
And that's probably a good idea. That's good too. For your healing outs, just once a week, or once every other day, or how often you want. This is entirely your
I appreciate that. I think that you're the authority in this case, though. So whenever you think it's beneficial, I mean, I didn't have any problems with it. So whenever you think it suits me and we have time for it, I'm definitely committed to it because my brain feels clearer than it has for a while. Well, ever since Foreshire. So, whenever we can. And if it'll give me the physical fortitude, I need to send Sorry a sending tomorrow. So. What?
A little sad.
Yeah. Yeah. She has to be the bearer of bad news, but that's just how it is sometimes. So. Well, anything else that we wanted to discuss then?
I'm grateful everyone for joining me with talking about it. Yeah.
It's good to get more understanding of just what we have gotten ourselves with that. But yes, it's I don't know what to imagine here. I need to. It's answered some questions and raised many, many more.
Yeah. There's a lot to think about, but Sarah did say that her channel is open whenever she's available, so if we ever have some really pressing stuff, we can always reach out again.
That goes. Well, I'm not entirely sure about this one. I do not like to so casually play with people's minds.
It's understandably discomfort.
All right. Well, is everybody going to head back inside and get some sleep in?
Yeah.
Okay. So,
I'm Stargate, but yeah, basically get back to rest mode.
yeah. So, you hang outside in Stargate?
Yeah.
Okay. Cass, are you going to try and actually find sleep or just kind of do the same thing Sonic's doing?
Right. Same thing. If Sonny doesn't find it, he'll join you. Just chill.
Okay. As everybody kind of splits up and you get back to the house, you notice that there's candles in some of the windows like there typically is, but the light in the house has been lowered somewhat, though the windows and doors stay open for the gentle breeze night, probably to try and get the smoke smell out of there. And Fulmar's probably still walking around. You don't really ever see Fulmar sleep, as far as you know. But the house is pretty quiet when you get back to it. And one Sanny. Oh my God. Once Sonny and Cass, Sandy and Cass, once Sonny and Cass wander off to do some stargazing and just kind of rejuvenate throughout the night, and the two of them are left alone. Sick just kind of like slumps a little bit, not in a bad way, but just like things are over for the moment, and she kind of reaches up and tugs on some of the multi-layered fabric on your arm. And we can go to bed. Of course.
Yeah. And you're like,
Which is very easy for you. And she wasn't like expecting it, / it's still a new thing to be picked up so casually. So she like yelps ever so slightly as you pick her up, and then relaxes and just kind of buries her head into your neck and goes, I just really want to have a good night's sleep and not worry about something crazy happening in the middle of the night. So, I'm sure you're super sore still from everything that happened with the astral projection, but like,
I could be more sore.
I'm blushing, like, that's just good. Yeah, you see her eyes go wide and her face goes beet red.
He's not looking at her.
Oh, he's not? Where is he just like looking off as he says that?
He's like,
Is he like trying to keep a straight, trying to like be suave in the okay.
yes.
Oh my God. She sputters. She just like can't form words for a couple seconds, and she was like, that wasn't okay. And she is happily whisked off at that point. God damn, Ray. Ray is always Ray ever since the beginning. Ray is the one. God damn, that was smooth. That was just some smooth Furblog who's not smooth. You flustered the whole table. All right. Yes. All right. Well, everybody retires for the night. And I think that's what we'll end this session of PDT. And the next week we'll pick up in the morning with you all setting out for the college in Quandir, having asked a lot of questions, gained a few answers, probably ending up with even more questions in the end. And yeah, I'm very curious to see the pieces come together for the players. And yeah, hope you guys had fun. Hope you guys had fun listening, and we'll be back next week, Sunday, 7 p.m. PST. Make sure, if you haven't followed us on our social media channels, to follow us on all the different ones, but most importantly, Discord. Come hang out with us, chit-chat with us, check out the different projects that we're running. And yeah, stay tuned for next week. And in the meantime, we hope you guys have a good, exciting week, and we'll see you next time here on Prismatic Dragonfly Tavern. Have a good night. Bye.